مشاهدينا في كل مكان، أهلا بيكم. احنا معاكم النهاردة هنستكمل حوارنا مع سعادة السفير هوكان إيمسجورد، سفير مملكة السويد لدى جمهورية مصر العربية. في لقاء اليوم هنتحدث عن تاريخ العلاقات ما بين الدولتين، وأيضا هنتحدث عن حجم الاستثمارات والتبادل التجاري. لو عايزين تعرفوا أكتر تابعونا وهذا اللقاء.
I started my career in the finance ministry. After that, I spent a couple of years in London at the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development as a deputy director. And only then I joined the foreign ministry, where I worked mainly on European affairs. So I was to be correspondent maybe to assistant minister for European affairs. And then ambassador to the Netherlands. So that is basically it. We are part of Scandinavia, we are part of Northern Europe, so we feel very close to the other Scandinavian countries, to Finland, Norway, Sweden. We share language with those countries, and we share also history and culture. But I would also like to say that on the other side of the Baltic Sea, we also have 3 Baltic countries, Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania. Swedish people like to celebrate the family holidays. I think this is the most important feature. So we have some that are more important than others. One which I like to talk about is the Lucia celebrations, which is on the 13th of December. It's in the darkest part of the year. So if you are in Stockholm, the sun will rise maybe at 10 o'clock and it will go down at 3 o'clock. So you only have a couple of hours of sunlight.
مشاهدينا في كل مكان، احنا معاكم النهارده بنستكمل حوارنا مع سعادة السفير هوكان إيمسجورد، سفير مملكة السويد لدى جمهورية مصر العربية. Your Excellency, thank you so much for the next time to have us.
Thank you.
Today I would like to talk with Your Excellency about the history of the relations between Egypt and Sweden. So, can you tell us about this history and when did it start exactly?
We have very close relations that goes a long way back in time, and I like to illustrate this by a little story that goes about the grandfather to our present king. This was King Gustav, who was very interested in archaeology. So he, of course, came to Egypt to experience, and he actually founded the first Egyptian museum in Sweden. But what also happened was when he was here in 1905, he was invited to the wedding of the Khedive Abbas at the time. And there was a great dinner here. And at that dinner, he actually met his first wife, a British princess called Margaret. And they actually got engaged in February 1905 here in Cairo. So we go back a long way together.
So we have a history and memories also.
Absolutely.
I would like also to know about the cooperation between the two countries. Let's start with the cultural cooperation, because of the cultural cooperation is one of the main, let's say, main walls that builds a good relations between any country.
And that's why cultural cooperation is so important for us at the Swedish Embassy. So we had, last year for instance, we had a theater company here with Egyptian director called Ahmed Atta, who set up a play in the most famous theater in Sweden. So he was designated to do this. It's a play about cultural differences between the Arab world and Sweden, if you like. So he was commissioned by the theater to do this, and then he took his company here and they performed in downtown Cairo. So that is one example. Another example is music, where we have a band called Taraband with Swedish, Egyptian, Iraqi lead singer. Her mother was from Egypt, her father from Iraq, and she lives in Sweden now. So there's a lot of these intercultural connections which we try to pick up, and which we think is very important to tie our countries closer together.
Your Excellency, I would like now to know the volume of trade between Egypt and Sweden, and the most important import and export products that's going on between the two countries.
Well, thank you for asking that question, because I'm very happy to note actually that last year, for the first time, trade between our two countries raised above the level of $1 billion US dollars. So this is a sign of how our trade is actually improving. We trade in many products. The Swedish export is mainly in technical equipment, in areas such as healthcare, telecom, electricity, things like that. What we would like to see is, of course, that also export from Egypt to Sweden would increase. There is now some in agricultural products, in textile products, but there are potential for much more. One thing which I would like to point out is also that the Swedish companies that are active and are producing here in Egypt, they are also exporting from Egypt. We have examples of this in the automotive industry, for instance. We have also in the area of household appliances, where we have production here exporting to Europe or to the world market. So the Swedish companies and Swedish business are contributing to the Egyptian society and economy in many different ways.
So what I can get from this talk, that also the Swedish investment here in Egypt in the field of technology and
automotive, for instance, yeah.
Do you have any aims for a new investment?
I think there are very good opportunities now when the Egyptian government has taken important decisions regarding their currency, for instance. There is a lot of opportunities for what we call nearshoring, meaning production in Egypt for export mainly to the European markets. And I think what we have seen in the automotive industry is a very good example. I think we can see it also. We'll see it in the textile sector, in the healthcare sector, and in many other areas. This is on the top of our agenda for the coming year.
اللهم رب هذه الدعوة التامة والصلاة القائمة آت سيدنا محمدا الوسيلة والفضيلة والدرجة الرفيعة وابعثه اللهم المقام المحمود الذي وعدته. وصلى الله وسلم على سيدنا مولانا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين.
Your Excellency, you mentioned that one of the main trading between the two countries was in the field of agriculture. This takes me to another question about the cooperation between Egypt and Sweden kingdom in the field of agriculture, and especially in the field of agriculture research. Is there any cooperation in this field?
I think we have a great potential for is more exchange in the academic area in general. We have very good cooperation now between the Royal Institute of Technology and the Faros University in Alexandria. We have this year 155 Egyptian students going for their university education in Sweden. This is up from last year. So we see an interest in this, and I hope, and my vision in this is that we can find cooperation between the universities so that the student can have what we call a double exam. An exam that is at the same time from a well-renowned Swedish university and an Egyptian university. And we are working with that, in particular with the Royal Institute of Technology, which I think is very interesting for the future.
Is there any cooperation nowadays between the two countries in the field of tourism?
We are promoting tourism. We could see that tourism some years ago were higher than now. The last figure we have is for 2022, when we have about 50,000 Swedish people coming here in the winter season, mainly to Hurghada, Sharm el-Sheikh, these places. We now have a couple of days a week direct flights to Cairo from Stockholm. With one company, we have another company who will also start these direct flights. So with this, I think we can increase this number a lot, because Egypt obviously have so much things to offer for tourism, both of course in terms of history, culture, sunshine, bath, coastal beach life, all these things. So I think we are looking to much higher figures in the future.
This answer leads me to another question, which is what is tourism places that Your Excellency already visited here in Egypt, and which one do you think is unique?
I think the one that is unique for me is Abu Simbel. And there is a particular reason for that, because as you know, when the Great Dam was built, Abu Simbel, the temple was moved up to higher ground. And this was done with the help of a Swedish engineering firm who came up with the idea how to do this, to cut it in pieces, lift it up, put it together, and construct this artificial mountain on top of all of it. And I see this as a fine example of our close relations with each other, but also a fine example of our engineering tradition in Sweden, that we can contribute to many things, including this very important cultural project that it was at the time.
Because to remove this temple, you had to remove it and have the same concept of the temple, the same thing happen, which is the sunrise on Ramses II on the two time zone in his
exactly,
which was very hard and really was a great show.
Yeah. So every time I go there, and I've been there 3 times now during my visit, I'm equally amazed by how this could be done, and of course a little bit proud also of the.
would like to know more about the cooperation in the field of health sector between the two countries.
This is an area where Egypt is making very important reforms at the moment, including the general healthcare insurance system, which is a very impressive program that you're having. And I think with our experience from the health sector and many companies we have in this sector, we can assist Egypt. So for this reason, we are planning a visit of a Swedish delegation in October this year to explore the possibilities for cooperation. And in particular, we think that when it comes to hospitals, the renovation and the building of hospitals, we can contribute a lot with experience both in terms of equipment, like ventilators, like machines for cancer treatment, for instance, but also experience in the management and running of hospitals. So this is one area which is a top priority for the coming year for us.
Your Excellency, have you been to the new capital of Egypt?
Absolutely, many times.
And you intend to have a branch of the Swedish embassy over there?
Of course, we will move there when the circumstances are good for that. We see today it's still work going on. The government has just recently, a couple of months ago, moved there, so we are following this. And eventually we will, of course, have both an embassy and a residence in the new capital.
And what about the Great Museum? Have you been to it?
I have been to the new museum many times. We are eagerly expecting the opening of the museum. And I hope that on that occasion we will have a high-level visit also from Sweden, giving our long tradition and interest in cooperation in the area of archaeology. At the present time, we have an important Swedish Egyptian mission working in Jebel el-Silsila. They have been there now for 10 years. They're doing great work, a work that is also very well known in Sweden. There has been television programs and so about it, and it's one of the important things I think that connects our countries together. So this opening we are very much looking forward to.
Finally, I would like to ask Your Excellency about the Swedish cuisine and its famous dishes, and then we will talk about the Egyptian cuisine and what is your favorite dish.
Yeah. The Swedish cuisine takes as a point of departure that we all live very close to nature in Sweden. So we like to have natural products from the forest, from what we grow in the fields. We eat a lot of fish, we eat a lot of herring. Herring comes in Sweden in how many different flavors that you would like, and it's something that we use for our big feasts in the Christmas, Easter, Midsummer, so on and so forth. We also have perhaps more exotic products, such as reindeer meat. Reindeers are living in the far north of the country, where they are traditionally herded by the Sami population, which is an important minority group in Sweden, and it's something that we cherish a lot. When we are talking about food, I would like to mention another Swedish speciality, which we call fika. And this means that we have a cup of coffee and something to go with the coffee.
Something sweet.
Something sweet. Like a cinnamon bun or these traditional things. We drink a lot of coffee, but it's not just the coffee drinking and the thing. it's a social way to gather, to talk about things, but it's also a way of sorting out problems. So in the workplace, if we have something difficult, we usually say, let's go and have a fika and let's talk about this. So this is how we deal with difficulties.
How about the Egyptian cuisine? Did you try any of its dishes?
I tried it. I have been living here for 3 years now. I enjoy my life in Egypt a lot. If you ask me what's my favorite dish is, I would say that omali is something that I appreciate a lot, but that I also have to be a little bit careful, because if I eat too much, I will grow too much, I'm afraid.
Your Excellency, I would like to thank you so much for the 2 interviews that we were able to make with you, and for the whole information that you shared with us.
Thank you very much. It was really a pleasure for me to take part in this. Thank you.
مشاهدينا في كل مكان، بكده انتهى لقائنا مع سعادة السفير هوكان إيمسجورد سفير مملكة السويد لدى جمهورية مصر العربية. تحدثنا في لقائنا الثاني عن العلاقات المصرية السويدية. نتمنى أن يكون اللقاء ده أفادكم. أشوفكم على خير وإلى اللقاء.